Hi, and welcome to another episode of Living Purpose with KM Johnson Davis. And I am so excited because we have such a wonderful guest on today. I'm going to bring him right on so you guys can hear what he has to share. But we have Robert Hunt. Thank you for joining me, Robert. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to be on your show today.
Thank you. Well, welcome. Listen, tell the audience a little bit about you and your background, and nobody cares.
All right, I'll start with me. And I've been married to my beautiful wife, Kathy, for 26 years yesterday. And we have two adult children. Lauren lives in Austin, married to Dylan. And James is still living at home with us while he finishes up college. We grew up in Southern California, but we moved to Texas in 2010, where we've been living and leading our business here. What I do for my day job is I run peer groups for business owners. I bring business owners together every month in a private meeting, and we work on fixing the problems of life and our business and finding more satisfaction through learning from other people. I've been doing that for 11 years now, and I learned an awful lot about struggles and accountability and how to lead well. And so that's what was the impetus, the start of my book that I wrote in 2022 with my friend Salem Thine called Nobody Cares Until You Do. And it's all about accountability and the freedom and power that's found in accountability.
So first of all, congratulations. Congratulations on the wedding anniversary, because we have to definitely applaud that, because we know that it takes a lot of stick to itness and perseverance in any marriage, because marriage is not an easy trek. So yes, congratulations.
It's worth it. She's awesome. I'm very blessed.
Well, that's wonderful to hear too. And that always makes it easy when you have someone that's wonderful and awesome with you as well.
Yeah,
All right.
is.
So we have this great book, Nobody Cares Until You Do. And you say accountability is so important. Let's expound on that a little bit. So tell me more.
I think people think of the word accountability and they think it in a bad way. Like you have to be accountable, like, someone's punishing you. But in reality, accountability is freedom. Because when I take accountability for something, I gain the power to do something about it. When I play the role as a victim in my life and everything that happens to me is outside of my control, I'm a victim of all my circumstances, of all the things that go on in the world, and I'm helpless and hopeless. But when I recognize, wait a second, this is my life. This is my journey. I get to respond to everything that comes my way however I want. Because as you know, life is 10% about what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it.
Yeah.
And so when things go bad, you can sit there and cry and be a victim about it, or you can say, wait a second, nobody cares. Nobody cares if I'm unhappy at my job, miserable in my marriage, broke, all these things that we go through, unless I care enough to do something about it. And when I do care enough to do something about it, I take control of it. I take the opportunity to go chase what I really want. And I'm not a victim. I'm pressing on to a life that I really want.
It's funny because at the beginning of this year, I told everyone, when I say everyone, I'm talking about family members, friends, employees. I told everyone, do not come to me with a problem. This is a solutions only zone. So if you come to me complain about something, there's nothing wrong with complaining, but you need to have a solution behind it. So don't come to me and say, oh, it's so cold in here. Come in here and say, it's cold in here, so I'm going to do this to prevent it from being cold. There should be a solution and action behind it. Take accountability, find a resolution. And if you don't know the resolution, come in and say, it's cold in here, but I don't have access to this. So how can we find access to make the temperature better? Then, we're solutions driven versus victim mindset. And, oh, woe is me. What can I do about it? I'm drowning in the water.
What's fascinating with that is that take it one step further. When they come in and tell you their solution, don't say good idea. Just say, have a nice day. Because what happens is a lot of times our employees, they are nervous to make decisions. And they're looking for you to approve of it. So they'll come in and they'll say, hey, I thought about it. It's too cold in here and I decided to turn up the temperature. Is that okay? And then you go, yes, that's okay. And then they turn it up and then someone comes in and complains, who turned it up in here? And now it's your fault because you gave them approval. And even though you weren't telling them what to do, you were blessing it. And so when we just learn to, when we teach our employees, listen, just going forward, you need to know, unless you're doing something that's going to kill us or make us go broke, I'm not going to respond with anything other than have a nice day. Because if I say, yes, that's a great idea, I have taken the monkey back on my back. And then when it goes wrong, you'll go, well, you told me I could do that. And it's weird how people think. We need to let them be able to be truly accountable.
Well, you know, that whole "you told me" thing is a really bad thing. I had a conversation with someone the other day where I was, I'm one of the people that when I'm thinking through the process of whatever it is I'm about to do, I talk it through. Most women, I think, are like that. And I'm, either I'm going to talk it through, or I'm going to write it out on a whiteboard, but I need to somehow get the thoughts out. And so the person that I was speaking with, I do this often with them. And I was talking through my decision making process. And I said, so what do you think? And they said, well, what do you think? And I was like, why are you
I'm not
working?
committing here.
But it was because they, I said, well, why are you doing that? Just tell me what you honestly think. I value your opinion. And while I may not, use it, I still want to hear what you think.
Sure.
And so they said, but if I tell you and then you do what it is that I'm saying, you're going to blame me if it goes wrong.
Oh, man. So true. So true.
But how do we prevent that?
Well, we got to talk about it a lot. We got to talk about it more. One of the reasons why people don't want to be accountable is because then when they don't do it, they look like a failure. So if I don't tell you what I'm going to do, hey, I'm going to go on a diet. So I'm going to work out every day and I'm going to not eat snacks anymore and I'm going to do this. And then if I don't do it, I look weak. And so what do I just do? I won't tell anyone. Therefore, when I stop doing it, which I get to do anyway, no one's going to know. So no one's going to give me a hard time about it. That times 1,000 things in your life. It's a safe way to keep people off your back. But if you really truly want accountability in your life, you have to be vulnerable. Without vulnerability, there is no accountability. So in our book, we gave them a chance to take an assessment and you write out what your satisfaction level is in all these things, your business and your personal life. And you write it down and you put it in front of you and you go, okay, now why am I not satisfied? And then you can write the reasons why. And we will find that there are 4 things that people do when they see something they're accountable for. You're not happy with this. It's your responsibility. It's your issue. It's your opportunity. What are you going to do about it? Well, the first thing to do is blame. They blame the economy. They blame the government. They blame God. They blame their spouses. They blame their teachers. Everyone's blamed. If that doesn't work, they make excuses. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, this wasn't my fault. And we make excuses. And all that does is take off any initiative to do anything about it. And if that doesn't work, we say, well, we can't. I can't do anything about that. I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. And so what we really mean is I won't. You really could, but you don't want to. You've not tried everything. You just tried as much as you feel like doing inside your comfort zone, which is another word for fear. Mm-hmm. And if all these things don't do anything, then we just wait and hope. Well, maybe it'll work out. Maybe if I make minimum payments on my credit cards, somehow I'll get a huge fat raise and I can pay off all this debt magically out of the blue. And it just doesn't get any better. And again, it's not until you get to that place in your life where you go, wait, nobody cares until you do. So if you don't want to be broke, if you don't want to have a crappy marriage, if you don't want to be overweight, if you don't want to have an angry relationship with the world around you, own it, do something about it. And then the rest of the book gives you the process of whereby you go to actually own it in your journey.
I want to go back to the part where you said about being in your comfort zone being the same as fear.
It is. It is. We call it comfort zone because it sounds better. If I was to say to you, Cam, I'm afraid to do that, you'd be like, dude, man up, go get it done. What's your problem? But if I say, well, that's really not my comfort zone, you go, oh, okay. Yeah, I understand that. I have the same things, and we everyone coddles us and goes, yeah, that's just true. I don't like certain things myself. It is a way out. And so we don't need more ways out. We don't. We need to have more ways to stay where we know we should be going. And so I think comfort zone is one of those things that sadly has on a regular basis caused us to miss the opportunity because we're actually stuck in fear where we could have been pressing on to something awesome. I think you're getting your dog out, right? We let the dog out.
But yes.
You can edit that out.
I 100% agree with you. I like to hear other people's take, because when I say stuff like that, people think I'm being mean. When I talk
Oh,
about you using the comfort zone as just another word, just because you're afraid, you want to stay in your comfort zone and not be challenged to do a little bit more that might make you uncomfortable. Actually, most people tell me I'm pushing them too much. They'll say,
interesting.
"You're always pushing me."
I think again, it comes back down to what do you want your life to be like? I think if you want to have an easy, boring, simple life, there's plenty of that going on. But for me, I like the adventure. I'd like to try something different. I'd like to grow and experience things, but that takes risk. And the downside of risk is that something goes wrong, right? And so for those people who don't want anything to go wrong, you're going to have a very boring life. And the real dreams, the real things that move the world, they were risk takers. They were people who put their homes up for mortgage to start their business. They're the people who got married when you can't guarantee that everything's going to work out. You just can't. Or you have a kid. What if we're bad parents, which we all are? What if they're bad kids, which they tend to be from time to time? I mean, we're just going to have to deal with risk. And so I think it depends on how you look at life. I don't think life is to be, how do I safely get to the grave? It's how do I live a life full of purpose and joy and intensity? Because God gave us this life and He expects a good return for the life He's put into us. And I don't think He's going to want to see us bury the talents that He gave us in the ground and give it back to Him someday. He's going to want to see us double it. And that takes risk. That takes taking a chance.
It does, and sitting in your comfort zone means that you're doing what comes easy to you, but not necessarily what you were created for. Because if we think about it, I use this analogy, well, not in the same way, but I've used this before. But a cheese grater, I guess I like cheese, but a cheese grater, it would be easy just to sit it on the shelf, which a lot of people do, and use it for decoration in the kitchen, right? But that's not what it was created for, right? So it has to have a little bit of work put to it in order for it to be used in the way that it was intended to be used. But if we don't do that, it can just be comfortably sat up on a shelf and look pretty. And I think that that's where people are, in life. They just want to be a cheese grater sitting on the shelf. I don't know why I use that as an
Yeah,
analogy.
you've got to come up with something more exciting than a cheese grater. Let's
You
talk
know,
about a let's talk about a Ferrari. You bought a Ferrari and you never go past 10 miles an hour in it. You just use it to go to the grocery store and back. You just pedal along and then you pedal back and it's 10 miles an hour. That would be a huge waste of a really cool blessing.
you saw that person too? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm usually behind them when I'm in a hurry to go somewhere.
No, and I see lots of people with cars as such that drive extremely slow, and I'm like, you bought that car to go
Punch it,
faster
baby,
than that.
punch it. Right.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more about the peer group, and then also just if you want to summarize a little bit more about Nobody Cares Until You Do. I'll give you a couple more minutes to do that, because we have a few minutes before we have to close out.
Yeah, leading peer groups all these years has taught me, but as I watch people who have make really good decisions and or make bad decisions, but either way they own it. Great CEOs, they're constantly learning, they're constantly pouring into other people, they are making good decisions, they're making decisions, and then they own it. And so as I watch these leaders over the years do those things, I realize that the ones who are accountable really came through it and came out stronger. And the ones who like to avoid responsibility or accountability and they love blame, they're miserable. And that's really what led us to write this book. Salem Dine and I have walked our journeys, very different journeys, but we share our stories. We're super vulnerable because we want to encourage people to own their own journey and the freedom that comes from that. And when people say they're not living the life they want, that's their choice. I know life is full of hard times and hard things happen. Nobody planned COVID into their routine for the years ago. Nobody plans to have the health challenges they face, but these things happen. But part of it is how we respond to it and how we go forward with confidence that, hey, we can handle this. I mean, my success rate in life is 100%. I'm still alive. Maybe I made a lot of bad decisions and messed things up. Doesn't matter. I'm still here. I'm still alive. So since I have a 100% success rate, why wouldn't I just keep trying more and more stuff? And I've had to live with hard things that I didn't do anything to cause it. And I've had to live with hard things that I totally owned it. But either way, it's still my journey. And so that's what we're hoping, is that people will get this book, really find out the places in their life where they play a victim, really commit to owning it, really commit to the process of letting it make your life better. And it's beautiful when you be able to recognize where you've not been accountable and where you are, and the freedom and the joy that comes from that.
Okay, so since we're here, can you tell us where we can get? I need a copy, and so I'm assuming I'm going to get a nice personalized signed copy. But
I would
um,
love to.
can you tell us where we can get your book and how we can support you in this?
The book is available at all booksellers, Barnes and Nobles and Amazon and Target and all that good stuff. But we prefer you buy it from us at nobodycaresbook.com. And then we can autograph it. We can send it off to you with a note. But also, you can then join our community. We want to hear from you when you take your satisfaction assessment. What did you learn? We want to hear from you as you're walking the journey. And I read every email that comes in every day. And I want to know, where are you struggling? How is this not working? What are you facing in the obstacles you're facing? So we want to build a community of people who are sharing their stories and walking through the journey of accountability. So nobodycaresbook.com. And then for your particular show, I created a unique website, nobodycarespod.com. And if you go to that website address and you type in the code word purpose, I will mail a copy of my book for free to the first 2 people who fill it out, who really want it to read it and to apply it to their lives. I'd be glad to send you a copy of that book. So nobodycarespod.com, code word purpose.
All right, guys. I know you guys heard that, so you got to beat me to it and go ahead and go to nobodycarespod.com, code word purpose. Go ahead
Yep.
and get your book, your copy. And if you're not one of the two, still get your copy. All
Yes.
right. So since we're on the subject of purpose, I always like to ask my guests how they feel that they are living purpose, because we know that this is a journey. You know, we no one has ever or will ever necessarily arrive. We're always striving to be the best version of ourselves and be who God has created us to be, and live life according to how we were created.
Yeah.
So, how would you say that you feel that now you are living purpose?
You know, I defined my purpose about 10 years ago, and it is to help people remove the obstacles that keep them from being their best. So when I had a career in marketing, I felt very frustrated because I couldn't do that at work. I could do that through my church, through my community, through my relationships. But when it came to work, it was a task. It was usually a company that didn't really believe in having a real organization that was based on culture and vision and purpose. And so I was very frustrated in my career. When I learned about peer groups and how they work, and I asked the guy who was telling me about the model, I said, so people pay you to have you help them live out their lives with purpose? Dude, sign me up. I'm in. And I changed careers at 50, having
Wow.
no experience in peer groups and no experience facilitating. And it was a hard road. I had to learn the hard way. Lots of training, lots of practice. But now I'm living out my purpose through my job every day. And it gives me so much joy. There's never a bad day because I'm actually living out my purpose. I know what it is and I'm chasing it every day.
Amen. So, how would you tell others that may be listening? What advice would you give them to making that shift if they're not feeling that they're living purpose? To do as you, especially for those that are in the more seasoned community that have, just like you, that might say, "Well, I've already lived life. Like this is not
No,
the
you're
time."
not done. If you're still watching this, you're not done. There's a really simple way to go about it. First thing is to identify your purpose. If you don't know what your purpose is, how can you live it out? And for those of us who follow Jesus, the very height of our purpose is to honor God in the world we live in so other people come to know Jesus. Second to that is the responsibility and accountability to take care of our family and to serve our spouses and to love our kids and to raise them up to be godly people. But in your particular niche of the way you spend your time at work and in your community and the way you spend your money, you have to identify your purpose. And one of the best books I ever read that helped me identify my purpose was a book called Dare to Serve Leadership by Cheryl Batchelder. She was the CEO of Popeye's Chicken. And she turned that company around using servant leadership principles. And her book is very descriptive on how to identify your personal purpose. That's how I learned mine. I read her book and I wrote mine down. I did all the work that she describes in the book, and I identified my personal purpose just by reading that book. So that's a simple way to go about getting your purpose identified. And then once you know what it is, don't let anything get in the way. Chase it. It's a hidden pearl. It's buried gold. It's beautiful. And don't let anything get in the way of you living out your purpose.
I agree. Do not let anything get in the way of you living out your purpose. Well, thank you so much, Robert. Go ahead and let our audience know where they can connect with you because I'm sure they want to reach out to you after the interview.
Well, I'm all over social media on LinkedIn and Facebook for my business, REF Dallas. That's the name of the company I do my peer groups through. So if you're a business owner and you want to get executive coaching or have me come out and work with your team and take it through a workshop on accountability, you can reach me at refdallas.com. And my email address is in there for all that. But the simplest way is just go to nobodycaresbook.com, go into the website, send me a contact form. I don't hide my information. I make it very easy for people to reach me because I want to connect with others and to serve them and help them to live out their purpose.
Well, thank you so much. All right, guys. So you heard it. You know how to contact him. He's all over social media. Go ahead and look him up. Uh, what is it? Like, follow, subscribe, whatever you find out
Yeah,
there.
whatever that is.
Interact, please. Interact and definitely get the book. Thank you again, Robert, for joining me on today. I truly appreciate you. And I look forward to getting to know you a little bit more and more about your book. Thanks, guys, for listening, and we will talk to you next time on Living Purpose.